I flipped open my wife's old notebook in the corner of the closet, its scrawled words slicing through my heart like a blade. The secret she had hidden for 18 years shattered the world I thought I knew. My name is James Sullivan, but everyone calls me Jim. Never Jimmy. That name grates on me, like someone pretending familiarity they haven't earned. I found a notebook by accident, tucked behind a box of holiday decorations in our Phoenix home. Laura, my wife of 18 years, had always been meticulous, but this was different. The worn leather cover, the frayed pages, the way it was hidden. It felt like a betrayal before I even read a word. The first page stopped me cold. Laura's handwriting, usually so precise from her accounting work, was messy, emotional. She wrote about Marcus, the head of her illustration group. Not love letters, but close enough. She described him as a spark, a chance at a life unbound by routine. She wrote about wanting to feel alive, to escape the cage of our marriage. Each word burned, carving doubt into my chest. Was she cheating? Had she already crossed that line? I sat on the closet floor, the notebook heavy in my hands. Laura was downstairs, humming as she prepared dinner. The woman I loved, the mother of our 2 daughters, Hannah and Zoe, now felt like a stranger. I wanted to storm down and confront her, but something held me back. Fear, maybe, or hope that I was wrong. Over the next few days, I watched her closely. Laura had always been passionate about her illustration hobby, spending evenings with her group. But now, she stayed out later, her phone buzzing with texts she dismissed as work. When I asked who called, she said it was Grace, a kind older artist from the group. Her eyes darted away, and I knew she was lying. But Laura, I knew didn't lie. Or so I thought. One evening, I overheard her on the phone in the living room. I was in the garage, sorting tools. The door cracked just enough to catch her voice. She was talking about a 6-week illustration workshop in Portland, Oregon. Her tone was electric, alive in a way I hadn't heard in years. 6 weeks of freedom, she said. No one to answer to. No one waiting for me. I froze, my wrench slipping from my hand. It clattered against the concrete, but she didn't hear. She laughed, a sound that used to warm me, but now felt like a slap. I deserve this, she said before hanging up. My heart pounded as I slipped back into the house. Laura was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, oblivious. Who were you talking to? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Just Grace, she said, not looking up. About the workshop. My gut screamed she was lying, but I nodded and walked away. I couldn't confront her yet, not without proof. That night, I checked her phone records online. The call wasn't from Grace. It came from Marcus' number, the same Marcus from her notebook, the one she described as a spark. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen, my chest tight. 18 years of marriage, 2 daughters, a life built together. Was it all a lie? I tried to talk to her the next evening, after Hannah and Zoe called from their colleges in California. I sat her down in the living room, the notebook hidden in my office. Laura, I said, I found something. Your notebook. It talks about Marcus, about wanting a different life. Her face paled, but she recovered fast. It's just creative writing, Jim. Ideas for my art. You know how I get inspired. Her voice was calm, but her hands twisted in her lap. I pressed harder, asking why she was so secretive what she lied about calls. She stood, her eyes flashing. You're overreacting. I'm not hiding anything. You're suffocating me with this. Her words stung, but her silence afterward hurt more. For days, she barely spoke, her coldness a weapon to make me back down. I wanted to believe her, to cling to the woman I loved. But the notebook's words haunted me, each one a crack in the foundation of our life. I called Tom, my best friend since high school, a burly engineer who never minced words. He met me at a dive bar near my construction site. I told him everything, the notebook, the call, the lies. He leaned back, sipping his beer. You need to know the truth, Jim. Don't let her gaslight you. His bluntness steadied me. I knew he was right. The next day, I contacted a private investigator in Portland. I couldn't follow Laura to the workshop myself, not without her knowing. The PI, a gruff man named Carter, promised discretion. He could blend in on the university campus where the workshop was held, tailing Laura and Marcus without raising suspicion. It felt like a betrayal to hire him, but her lies left me no choice. Then came the small shock that pushed me further. While Laura was at her illustration group, I searched her desk for answers. Tucked in a drawer, I found another notebook, newer, its pages fresher. The words were bolder, more vivid. Marcus was no longer just a spark. He was her fire, the one who saw her soul. She wrote about the Portland workshop, about living for herself, unshackled. My hands shook as I closed it. This wasn't art. This was her heart, laid bare, and it didn't belong to me. I sat in the dark, the notebook on my lap, my mind racing. Laura came home an hour later, her laughter from the group still lingering in her voice. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I stayed silent. If she was planning to betray me in Portland, I needed proof. I needed to protect myself, my daughters, my sanity. The next morning, I told Laura I was fine with her going to the workshop alone. She smiled, relieved, and promised to call every day. Her warmth felt hollow, a performance. I nodded, playing along. But inside, I was steeling myself for what Carter might find. The doubt was a weight, crushing me, but I wouldn't let it break me. Not yet. Before we dive deeper into this gripping story, let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're hooked, hit that subscribe button to support us. The notebook's words clung to me like a shadow, each line a whisper of Laura's betrayal. I sat in our Phoenix living room, the hum of the air conditioner drowning out the silence between us. My wife of 18 years moved through the house, her steps light, as if she hadn't written about another man, as if she hadn't lied to my face. I couldn't let it fester any longer. I needed answers, even if they tore me apart. I waited until the kids' bedtime calls from California were done. Hannah's voice, bright with stories of her art history classes, and Zoe's quiet updates about her biology labs, grounded me. They were my anchor, the reason I hadn't stormed out yet. When Laura settled on the couch, scrolling through her phone, I took a breath and spoke. I told her about the second notebook, the one I found in her desk, its pages burning with her longing for Marcus. I laid out my hurt, my fear that she was slipping away. Her eyes widened, but she leaned forward, her voice steady. She called it fiction, a way to channel her art. She said I was twisting her words, making her feel trapped. Her denial was smooth, practiced, but her fingers gripped her phone too tightly. I pushed harder, mentioning the phone call I overheard, the one about the Portland workshop. I asked why she lied about talking to Grace. Her face hardened, and she stood, pacing. She accused me of spying, of smothering her creativity. Then came the silence, colder than any argument. For days, she barely looked at me, her absence a weapon to force my retreat. Each quiet meal, each avoided glance, chipped away at my resolve. I wanted to believe her, to salvage the life we built, but the notebook screamed the truth she wouldn't admit. Her next move was calculated. One evening, she slid a brochure across the kitchen table, her smile too bright. She announced she had booked a week-long hiking trip for me and Tom in Utah, a gift to show her gratitude for my support. She said it would give me time to relax while she attended the Portland workshop. Her words were warm, but her eyes flickered with something else. Relief, maybe, or triumph. The trip was a ploy to keep me away, to ensure I wouldn't follow her to Oregon. I nodded, thanking her, but my stomach twisted. She thought she had me fooled. That night, alone in my office, I made a call. The private investigator, Carter, confirmed he was ready to tail Laura in Portland. He described the university campus, a sprawling place where he could blend in, watching her and Marcus without raising suspicion. His voice was clipped, professional, but it steadied me. I needed proof, not just for me, but for the day I might have to face Hannah and Zoe with the truth. Then came the jolt that pushed me deeper into the abyss. While Laura was at her illustration group, I searched her bag, driven by a gnawing need to know. Tucked inside was a third notebook, its pages fresh, the ink still dark. Her words were raw, unguarded. She wrote of Marcus as her fire, the one who saw her true self. She described the Portland workshop as her chance to live without chains, to be the woman she buried long ago. My hand shook as I read, my breath shallow. This wasn't art. This was her soul, and it belonged to someone else. I closed the notebook, my heart pounding. The house was silent, but my mind screamed. I wanted to confront her, to shatter her lies, but I held back. If she was planning to betray me in Portland, I needed undeniable evidence. I needed Carter's reports, his photos, his cold, hard facts. I slipped the notebook back in her bag, my fingers trembling, and vowed to play her game. I told her I was excited about the Utah trip, forcing a smile. She beamed, oblivious to the storm inside me. The next day, I met Tom at our usual bar, the one with sticky floors and flickering lights. I told him about the third notebook, the Utah trip, the PI. His jaw tightened, and he leaned forward. He shared a rumor he had heard at a construction conference. Marcus had a reputation, he said. Years ago, he had wrecked a colleague's marriage, charming the wife until she left her family. The story hit me like a punch. Marcus wasn't just a threat. He was a predator, and Laura was his target. Tom's words fueled my resolve, but they also terrified me. What if I was too late? Carter's first report arrived 2 days later, sent to a burner email I set up. Laura and Marcus had been meeting outside the illustration group, he wrote. Coffee shops, late-night walks, always careful to avoid the other members. No physical proof of an affair yet, but their closeness was undeniable. Carter attached a grainy photo, Laura laughing, her hand brushing Marcus' arm, her face alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. I stared at the image, my chest tight. Was this the woman I loved, or a stranger wearing her skin? I sat in my truck, the photo on my phone, my mind a tangle of rage and grief. Part of me wanted to drive home, shove the photo in her face, and demand the truth. But another part, the part that still loved her, clung to the hope that I was wrong. Maybe it was just a flirtation, a fantasy she hadn't acted on. Maybe I could save us. But the notebooks, the lies, the photo, they were a chorus drowning out my hope. I called Tom again, needing his clarity. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said I deserved better than a wife who hid her heart. He urged me to trust Carter, to wait for the proof that would set me free. His words were a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge. I agreed to the Utah trip, telling Laura I was looking forward to it. She hugged me, her touch hollow, and I wondered how I had missed the distance in her eyes for so long. As the workshop approached, Laura's excitement grew. She talked about the guest artists, the techniques she would learn, but her words felt rehearsed. I nodded, playing the part of the supportive husband, while inside, I braced for Carter's next report. The doubt was a weight, crushing me, but I wouldn't let it win. I would face the truth, no matter how much it hurt. The weight of Laura's lies pressed harder as the Portland workshop began. I sat in our Phoenix home, the silence deafening without her presence. My phone buzzed with Carter's updates, each one a step closer to the truth I both dreaded and needed. The third notebook, with its vivid words of Laura's longing for Marcus, haunted me. I kept it hidden in my office, a silent witness to the unraveling of my 18-year marriage. I told myself I was ready for whatever Carter found, but nothing prepared me for the moment the facade crumbled. Carter's first major report arrived on the third day of the workshop. Laura and Marcus were inseparable, he wrote. They shared a rented apartment near the university campus, a detail that hit me like a fist. Laura had removed her wedding ring, introducing herself as single to the other artists. Carter attached photos, Laura and Marcus walking hand in hand, her smile radiant, his arm around her waist. I stared at the images, my throat tight. The woman I loved, the mother of Hannah and Zoe, had erased me from her life. I scrolled through the report, my hands trembling. Carter described their routine. They attended workshop sessions together, dined at cozy restaurants, and returned to the apartment each night. His team had slipped a tiny camera under the apartment door, capturing fleeting moments of their intimacy. The images were grainy but unmistakable. Laura's laughter, Marcus's touch, their shared glances. It was no longer a suspicion. It was real, raw, undeniable. Then came the video that broke me. Carter sent it late one night, a short clip from a campus coffee shop. Laura and Marcus sat close, their voices low but clear. They mocked me, their words cutting deeper than any knife. Laura called me a boring builder, a man who cared more about blueprints than passion. Marcus laughed, saying I was clueless, thanking Laura for keeping me in the dark. Logistics were mechanical, a way to keep moving forward when my heart wanted to collapse. I planned my exit with precision. I hired movers to pack my belongings, storing them until I settled in Boise. I kept only a suitcase, my laptop, and an old pencil from our first date. It's what worn smooth by time. It was the one piece of our past I couldn't let go, a reminder of the love we once had. I told Tom I plan over a quick coffee. He nodded, his eyes heavy with understanding, and promised to keep my departure quiet. His support was a lifeline, anchoring me as I prepared to vanish from Laura's life. Before leaving, I needed her to know I saw her truth. I called her from my office, using a video app to ensure she couldn't hide. She answered, her face bright with the workshop's excitement. I held up my phone, playing the coffee shop video without a word. Her expression shifted from confusion to panic, her mouth opening to speak. I cut her off, my voice cold. I told her we were done, that I was filing for divorce. I said she could have the house, the life she wanted, but not me. Her eyes filled with tears, her voice pleading, but I ended the call. Her excuses were meaningless now. I left one final mark. On the kitchen table, I placed a new notebook, its cover plain, but heavy with intent. Inside, I copied the damning pages from her notebooks, added Carter's report, and wrote a single page of my own. I chose freedom, I wrote. You chose him. I wanted her to see it when she returned, to face the wreckage of her choices. I sent her an email, attaching the coffee shop video, with 3 words, "It is over." I imagined her opening it in Portland, her world collapsing as mine had. It wasn't revenge. It was closure. I locked the house, the click of the deadbolt echoing in the empty space. The movers had taken most of my things, leaving the home barren, the shell of the life we built. I drove away from Phoenix, the city lights fading in my rearview mirror. The old pencil sat in my pocket, its weight a quiet reminder of what was lost. I felt a sting of betrayal, the ache of love turned to ash, but also a flicker of freedom. I was leaving her behind, not just in miles, but in my heart. The road stretched north, endless and uncertain. I stopped at a gas station, the desert air cool against my skin. My phone buzzed with a text from Tom, checking in. I replied briefly, thanking him, then turned it off. Laura's calls would come soon, her apologies, her excuses. I didn't want to hear them, not yet. I climbed back into my truck, the engine rumbling to life. Boise was waiting, a new chapter one couldn't yet imagine. But for the first time in weeks, I felt the weight begin to lift. The highway stretched before me, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through the Nevada desert. I drove north from Phoenix, the weight of Laura's betrayal still heavy, but loosening with each mile. The old pencil in my pocket, a relic from our first date, pressed against my thigh, a quiet reminder of the love I had lost. My phone stayed off, shielding me from the calls and texts I knew Laura would send. I needed space, time to breathe, to find the man I was before her lies shattered me. I stopped in small towns, their dusty streets, and neon-lit diners, a stark contrast to the life I left behind. In a Nevada cafe, I sipped coffee and sketched on a napkin, the pencil's familiar weight grounding me. The act was simple, but it felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. I thought of Hannah and Zoe, my daughters, studying in California. They deserved the truth, and I couldn't let Laura's betrayal taint their trust. I turned on my phone briefly, ignoring the flood of notifications from Laura, and called them. Their voices trembled as I explained, my words steady but raw. I sent them Carter's report and the coffee shop video, ensuring they understood their mother's choices. They promised to keep my location secret, their support a balm to my wounded heart. Laura's response came later, a long text that arrived as I crossed into Idaho. She admitted her affair with Marcus, her words a mix of regret and deflection. She blamed me for being too practical, too rooted in routine, as if that justified her betrayal. I read it in a motel parking lot, the screen glowing in the dark. My fingers hovered over the reply, anger surging, but I typed only 3 words, "You made your choice." I hit send and powered off the phone, the finality of it settling over me like dust. Boise welcomed me with open skies and a crisp breeze. I started my new job, managing construction projects with a team that embraced me like family. My boss, a gruff but kind man named Paul, invited me to a barbecue at his home. Over grilled burgers and local beer, I shared my story, leaving out the rawest details. The team listened, their nods and quiet words a lifeline. They promised to call me out if I carried my pain into work, a gesture that warmed me more than I expected. I found a small apartment near the office, its bare, walls of canvas for my new life. I joined a local sketching group, trading my pencil for charcoal and paper. The group, a mix of young dreamers and seasoned artists, filled my evenings with laughter and purpose. I sketched landscapes, cityscapes, anything to keep my hands moving and my mind quiet. Hannah and Zoe visited often, bringing friends who filled my apartment with chatter and warmth. Their presence reminded me I wasn't alone, that love still existed in the bonds we shared. Laura's consequences unfolded in fragments. Tom texted that she had returned to Phoenix, finding the notebook I left on the table. She called him, frantic, but he kept my secret. Carter sent a final note. Marcus' wife had received the evidence and filed for divorce, leaving him to face his own reckoning. Laura lived alone now, her dreams of freedom tainted by the cost. I felt no joy in her pain, only a quiet resolve that I had chosen right. I learned that trust is the foundation of love, and self-respect is the light that guides you through betrayal. Leaving Laura was my salvation, a step toward a life defined by truth. One evening, I sat by my Boise window, sketching a horizon of jagged mountains. The charcoal lines were bold, unfinished, like the future ahead. My heart wasn't whole, but it was healing, each stroke a promise of better days. This journey has ended with raw emotion. Share your thoughts below. Does this ending satisfy you? Or did it catch you off guard? If this story moved you, drop a like and subscribe for more gripping tales. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next story.